I'm Jody. I'm here basically to see if I can ask for your a letter of approval or a letter of support to take to the county board. I'm going to ask them to raise the purchasing age of tobacco to 21 instead of 18. I have a little bit of education to go through so that you all can kind of see why I'm asking for this. I work in public health at the hospital as well as in the SHIP grant, and SHIP is the Statewide Health Improvement Partnership. A lot of the things that they've done is they work on obesity, tobacco smoking. They also have school lunches and school nutrition. They've helped in Baudette by starting the gardens behind the hospital. They've helped with funding for the bike tracks or the walking trails. And they've also helped with starting the flea market. So there's a lot of good things that the SHIP grant does. So I'll just get into the education part of it, and then we can talk about it afterwards. So starting out, I went to the county board and the city board last year, 1 year ago this month, and asked them to think of putting it on the table for increasing the purchasing age to 21. When I went there, there were only 5 states that were full 21, T21. And now we have over, I think it's 9. Yeah, 9. Minnesota will be talking about it, but talking about it takes a long time. It's not just an easy process. So Minnesota right now is looking at, well, when I did this slide, there were 29 counties or cities that had gone T21. Since then, it's actually increased to 31. So there's 3 more that have gone, as well as Mankato has put it back on there. So North Mankato passed as long as Mankato passes. And they've actually put that back on the table now. Little Canada just went to T21 effective July 1st. The very first one to go was, I believe Eden Prairie was the first in Minnesota. And when I went to the county and the city last year, there were only 12 counties. So that's how much that's increased since just 1 year. A lot of talk. Some of the newer ones as well, if some of you didn't know, Beltrami County just went to T21. Bemidji City, the city of Bemidji, like I said, Little Canada, Mankato, and then a smaller one is Otter Tail as well. So smoking cigarettes in youth has decreased by 70%. However, vaping or electronic cigarettes have gone up 50% just since 2017. That's the first time that youth smoking has gone up in over 10 years. 95% of tobacco users start before the age of 21, and if they don't start before 21, they probably won't. It's not just harmless water vapor, like some think it is. E-cigarettes contain heavy metals, particles, cancer-causing agents, and put adults and children at risk. It's not just what the person is smoking, but also what they exhale and that person is breathing in. It's also got heavy metals and cancer-causing particles. The financial impact of tobacco, it costs Minnesota $3.19 billion per year. That's by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. So that would be healthcare cost. And if you were to break it down, it's $593 per person in each home in Minnesota. So every single person in Minnesota, whether adult or child, pays $593 every year for someone else's health care. The annual employer cost per employee who smokes is $6,000. That is for absent employees, health care costs, productivity loss, needing an extra break, being sick, not being able to go to work. So in total, you're looking at about $7.5 billion in excess healthcare costs and lost productivity just in Minnesota alone for those that smoke or use tobacco. So what Lake of the Woods County gets, I kind of called some other counties, bigger, smaller, just to see where we compare. To get a license to sell tobacco in Lake of the Woods, it's $100 per year. There's 25 retailers in Minnesota, or in Baudette, Lake of the Woods County. A lot of them are resorts. And how we compare, Bemidji has the exact same amount of retailers in their county as we do in ours. We only charge $100, which is only $2,500 per year in county dollars, where in Hennepin they did raise their licensing fees to $267 per year, and that would increase our county profits to $6,675. So as far as retailers, Ballard's Resort makes $400 a month profit in tobacco sales during their peak months. So they don't make a lot of money, and I worked with Jessie quite a bit on that. The number one thing she said is it's a convenience for their customers. It's 99 to 100% of her customers are 21 or older because they keep them in the bar, behind the bar. It's usually a late at night, you know, before people go home kind of thing, like, oh, I don't want to stop anywhere, I don't have a ride to get any, so I need to buy some. They keep two types, and it can be Marlboro or Camel, just depends on what's on sale for them that month that they buy. So they have menthol and regular, and it doesn't matter what you smoke, they have just what they have, and that's it, two kinds. And pretty much every resort that I've gone to, I went there to every resort last summer, and it's exactly the same way. I think there was only 2 that actually sold like chewing tobacco as well. So the tobacco marketing, this was from Philip Morris in 1986. Raising the legal minimum age for cigarette purchasers to 21 could gut our young adult market, where we sell about 25 billion cigarettes and enjoy a 70% market share. So this was, I mean, Tobacco 21 has been talked about since 1986. It's been an ongoing battle to get the age increased. $24 million is spent daily on tobacco marketing, and that's $1 million per hour that they pay to show people how great smoking and cigarettes and tobacco are. So what's changed is that they're marketing to the youth. If you look at the difference between the packaging of cigarettes, candy, chewing tobacco, and your mints, for instance, they look a lot alike. There's flavors. These are nothing for flavors. When you get into what they put into e-cigarettes and vapes, you're looking at cotton candy, Fruit Loop. They've got ones that are like juicy drops. I mean, it looks exactly, the packaging is exactly the same. So it's definitely marketed to kids, because if they lose the kids, they lose their market. They make it fun. As you can see, the juice box on the bottom, there's no difference. You can't tell the difference between the juice box and the e-liquid. It looks just like apple juice. The Jewel, that's the newest thing. Looks like a zip drive. It's very hard to detect. It fits sleekly in your pocket, in your hand. It's easy to get away with. The vapors dissipate pretty quickly. There's no regulations on them being able to advertise for them like cigarettes are. There's no FDA involvement whatsoever. Here's another product development. This is a sweatshirt, and it's actually an e-cigarette where the strings, you smoke out of one side and you blow on the other side so that it goes inside and you can't tell that you're even doing it. Just looks like you're chewing on strings. So these are the pods. These are the newest craze for kids. So smoking 1 pack of cigarettes is equal to 20 milligrams of nicotine, which is 20 cigarettes. But when you go to smoke a Juul pod, you're actually getting 41 cigarettes out of that Juul pod. Because when you smoke a cigarette, it burns, and you're not always constantly smoking that cigarette. You're holding it or whatever. With the Juul pods, they will shut off in between each hit of the Juul. So you're actually getting double the nicotine out of 1 pod. And when I talk to some of the kids about this, they've actually told me that they know of kids that are, what they'll do is they'll buy, it comes in a 4-pack, the pods, you can buy them at Holiday, and they will sell one of the pods to underage kids for $20, which pays for their habit, and they smoke the other 3 in 1 day. So they're smoking up to 3 pods in 1 day. It's over 120 cigarettes that they're getting of nicotine. Social media trends, there's all kinds of different YouTubes. I mean, if you look at these, the kids on them are like 11 to 15, who can make the biggest cloud, doing different tricks. They make it cool. And that's where the problem's coming in. Getting away with it in class. These are something a little different, and I know that they came out as to help people, but it's actually just making the problem worse. They're essential diffusers, so you put essential oils into this diffuser, you take a hit off of it, you don't inhale it, and then breathe it out your nose. These are not, you don't have to be a certain age to buy them. You can go on the internet, you can go into stores, and you can buy them at any age. You can be 5 years old and walk in and buy one because they're not considered a smoking of nicotine or tobacco. But kids are misusing them. They empty out the pods and then they use them and fill them with their own juice. So this is the percentage of Minnesota high school students who use tobacco products in the last 30 days. Again, this is in 2017. So it went up from 2014 to 2017 from 12.9 to 19.2, which is 1 in 5 high school students in Minnesota are using an e-cigarette. So when the students share, some of the things that they say is it can be hard to detect, the vapor dissipates quickly, smells are unusual but not always alarming, and devices are small. They may never have or will never smoke a traditional cigarette. They don't always realize they are ingesting nicotine when they vape. And one thing that was tested not too long ago, they tested a ton, like I don't know how many it was, but a ton of e-cigarettes that claimed to have no nicotine. And what FDA says is considered to have nicotine and what isn't. There's never an e-cigarette or e-juice that doesn't have nicotine in it. There is some amount of nicotine in it. So they're being addicted and they don't even know it. They're proud of not getting caught. It's like a game using in class. Kids are avoiding the bathrooms. They always smell like vapor, or students blowing vapor in their face. When we talked with the classes here, when I addressed the city, one brave kid stood up and said, every time I walk into the boys' bathroom, it smells like watermelon, and I know they're not spraying any perfume. So some use it as a stress reliever. Peer pressure is a big influence on them. There's no typical vaping kid. It's all different types of kids. They don't care or don't believe the health risks. What would make the impact is stopping the start. So some ways to do that is decreasing the number of licenses for tobacco in the county, the fees, increasing them, the age of the seller. So instead of just being able to walk into any store, the seller that sells the product needs to be 18 years old. Training local businesses, and then of course tobacco 21. Some of the other things that have been happening, Duluth passed a flavor ban. So the only place that you can buy any flavored products other than just tobacco or menthol, you have to go to an actual smoke shop, a 21 and older smoke shop. And that's the only place that you can go to buy them. So Holiday there does not sell any kind of vanilla or vapor. Some of them are like creme brulee, those kinds of things. Another thing that's happened is Walmart has gone to tobacco 21. They have not, they're increasing their sales. They will not sell to anyone under 21. They've done that as a corporation. They're also making the change in their flavored policy, and they will not be selling any flavored Jewel Pods, dessert flavors in their stores. Rite Aid and CVS have also gone that way. So common disputes about the policies. If someone can join the military at 18, shouldn't they be allowed to buy tobacco? One thing that you will find almost 100% of the time is the military agrees with T21. They want healthy soldiers. They don't want to take care of their military after with the VA prices, medical-wise. Almost every branch of the military, every branch of the armed forces will tell you that they agree with it. And it's not saying that 18 to 20-year-olds can't use the product. That's a federal law. 18-year-old, you have to be 18 to use the product. That's a federal law. It has not changed at this point. So it's not saying that they can't use the product, they just can't buy it. They can't purchase it. I mean, most of your younger kids are going to get it from a social source, someone that's 18. You know, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds know a lot of 18, 19-year-olds. They don't know a lot of 21-year-olds that are going to buy for them. So won't you find ways to get tobacco regardless of what we do? Some will. Definitely. The ones that really want to use are going to figure out how to get it. The ones that are only using it to fit in or for peer pressure, they're not going to go that far. They're not going to go out of their way to find it. Without flavors, vaping will be less appealing to youth. If you only can buy menthol or tobacco, they're not going to use it. They want like the cotton candy and the Fruit Loop ones. Won't we hurt our local stores? It's actually not going to hurt our stores. The 18 to 20-year-olds that do smoke only make up a small portion of your profits. It's 2 to 4% is all you're losing. When I talked with, like I said, when I talked to Jesse and almost every other resort that I've talked to, it was basically stated that everyone we sell to is 21 and older anyways. It's very rare for you to have someone that's 18 come in to buy cigarettes at the resorts. Holiday, they might get a little bit more of a hit, but I did have a good conversation with Kent up at Senex. We talked for about 45 minutes. He's completely for T21. He hates cigarettes. He said if he owned a store on his own, he'd never even sell tobacco products. But he looked it up, and he thought about $3,000 a year is what he would lose in profit. But what he pays out in fines if they get caught, it's really not, it's not going to be that much of a difference. Data does not show a large impact on retailers since T21 passed in Massachusetts in 2005 or Edina in 2017. So there's not really a big impact on the retailers there. And the health benefits of saving kids from a lifetime of addiction and disease outweighs retailers having to adjust to a decline in sales. Why should vaping products be included in the policies? Because they are tobacco products. They have nicotine in them. With smoking rates falling and vaping products are a new way for tobacco industry to keep hooking the next generation on their profit. That's their profit. Won't people just go to neighboring towns? Some will. Since Massachusetts, that town in Massachusetts, I have a really hard time with that, Needham, is that right? Passed in 2005, they've seen a 47% decrease in youth tobacco rates, almost half the rate that they had before. And that decrease did not occur in neighboring cities where it was still 18 to purchase. So those who really need it will drive to find it, but those who are just doing it for peer pressure won't. So shouldn't it be done at a state level? So these are some of just the questions that I get when I do these. Minnesota has a strong history of local government acting to protect the health of their communities before the state legislature takes action. Malheur County passed a smoke-free indoor air policy that helped in leading a statewide policy as well as a nationwide policy for clean indoor air and others. That's why we can't smoke in bars or restaurants or hospitals. The little counties, if you get enough of them together, to band together and say we want this, that's when the state has to start looking at it and saying, okay, I guess they're all on board, let's do it. And honestly, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, I went to the county and the city last year, and that was basically what was shoved at me. We're not gonna do this, let's wait till the state goes. Well, Beltrami went, we've doubled in counties, Otter Tail went, these little or smaller places have gone. And then readdressing it with the county commissioner, he said, well, get some more people on board. Let's get some more, people that are willing to stand up and say, yeah, let's do this, not just one person coming to us. So I've been baiting the streets, and I've drove to almost every resort. And every time I walk in the door, I ask them, can I talk to you about the Tobacco 21 policy? Almost every time they look at me and say, I think it's unnecessary, I don't think we need it, it's just gonna hurt our sales. And after I talk to them for about 5 or 10 minutes, I get a signed letter saying, yep, let's do it. It's not gonna hurt us, it's not gonna hurt our sales, it's good for our youth. Most of our youth is using e-cigarettes, not cigarettes. And the biggest retailer in Lake of the Woods that's going to be hurt is going to be Holiday. Holiday is a corporation, it's not a local store. Some of the references, if you want that page printed, I can surely give it to you. Any questions?
I think I've probably directed to Mr. Novak, probably. How much vaping are we seeing in the school?
That's kind of a question I really can't answer. It's one of those things that do I see kids walking around with vaping devices? No. Are they small? Are they? When you're talking about a jewel, that's that big. That looks like it fits in your thumb drive.
How many discipline actions have we taken?
0.
But when you ask the students, how many of you have seen this? Every one of them raised their hands. A couple of them said that on the bus in the mornings, there's kids in the back seats that are down below the seats, smoking these e-cigarettes, and this is what he refers to as small. So this is one of the vaping products you can buy at Holiday. These are the pods. These are $27 for 2 of them. This itself is almost $30. But it's easy. It fits in your hand. You can't tell if I'm holding a pen, a marker, am I just holding lipstick, whatever. It's not easy to find. They hide it well. Some other kids were, and after talking with them, I said, they're really doing this on the bus. Oh yeah, all the time. And I said, now you guys you're putting 3 and 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds in jeopardy of having to inhale that. I'm not saying that they were doing it, just the people that were. That's why we need to increase it, so that these 18-year-olds, 15, 16-year-olds that are riding the bus, 14-year-olds, aren't getting their hands on it as easily. I have a son in 5th grade and a daughter in 6th, and each of them have seen a Snapchat from someone on their friends list with one of these vapes using it. 5th and 6th grade.
I'd like to interject one thing here. I guess, I'm doing it all the
not saying that we can see it all either, but we can see how much smoke when they blow it out.
Mhm.
And that's what we've seen, and we've seen in the back of the bus and what we suspended.
And I'm not saying anything against, I'm not saying anything against the school busing or anything like that. It's not an easy thing to see. Even with the Juul, vaping is one thing. They give a very large puff of smoke. Juuls and these do not. They dissipate so quickly you can barely see them. You can blow them into your sweatshirt and you won't even see the vape. It's still there. It's still in the air, but you don't see it. The big vaping ones that you have to push the button on the side and it looks like a huge canister or a pop can, those have huge amounts of vapor, but these do not, and that's what they're made for. They want you to be able to conceal them and not make them noticeable.
Sorry, I'm 100% behind. I'm 100% behind. I just feel hard.
No, absolutely. And that's just what the students were, But they did say, when we had the seniors in here, for instance, they didn't think it was quite as big of a problem. At first they were like, yeah, we've seen it. It was one of the seniors that stood up and said, every time I walk in the boys' bathroom, I smell watermelon. But then we got like the 9th graders in here, and man, did they open up. They were talking about it. Like, I could go to anyone that's 18 right now and they'd buy it for me if I wanted to.
So do you have a model template?
Yep. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys knew, but the city of Baudette did approve to sign a resolution to take to the board. So that was a success with, I do believe, the help with the kids. It was kind of like that first time I went through that, because I did this 3 times that day. And the first time I did that, they were all kind of like, meh, okay, well, maybe we'll talk about it. Then those 9th graders came in and you could almost see the shift. As soon as they started talking and started and then we thought, so.
So I would recommend if you can I get copies of
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. You can all have one.
Perhaps for June board meeting, we could consider a resolution.
So I am going to the county board June 11th. So if I don't have it.
We won't meet until the 24th. Will the city's resolution carry any weight with the county, do you think?
I do, yep. When I did this presentation at the county for social services, actually, the county attorney was there and someone asked him, what do you think the worst or the, biggest hurdle she's gonna have? And he said, having the city on board. And I said, I already do. He said, oh, well, there's 95% of your hardship, so.
Jody, you're going to the city, and then you said you're going to the county?
Nope, I've already been to the city. I already presented to them, and they gave me a resolution to support T21. They agree with it. I'm going to the county. The city gave up all of their tobacco rights to the county. They don't have any ordinance for tobacco. They gave it all to the county, and then they pay $100. City of Williams and the city of Baudette each pay $100 to the county to be able to sell cigarettes in the city limits.
Check. So, June 11th, and we don't meet till the end of June. Is there a way to?
Well, we can, when we get the board meeting, one of the citizen forum items that we don't act on that same night. It's just in the policy. We can
Just my feeling is I think it would help the county, maybe, make a decision.
Every person that signs one helps.
So are you asking individual people or are you asking the board?
I would like it as the board. I mean, having a signed letter from the school board in favor of it is going to make a bigger impact than just an individual person. Obviously, just like the Woods Prevention Coalition, businesses, doctors. I have all 4 of the doctors that have signed. I have multiple businesses around town, out at the lake. I mean, like I say, the businesses that hold licenses, the ones that it's really going to affect, other than the 18 to 20-year-olds.
So that's our option. Moving the agenda.
Either way,
Or
it's good.
technically the board chair could have it.
Excellent presentation.
And anyone that wants to come June 11th, you're more than welcome, 9 a.m. Show up to give anything you'd like to say against it or for it. I went to Mr. Krause's class and some of them are coming. I've got a list of kids that are writing letters of why they feel it's a good idea. And so, I don't know if that needs to be turned off or...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
There. It is hard to hear you in the back row. Yeah, I mean, I got tough hearing, but the Glorianne discussion about getting microphones, so you, like you were talking the other day.
All right. On to reports. Board committees. Policy committee, we didn't meet, did we? Okay. School forest.
School forest, we did meet, had our usual good time. I guess anybody wants to come. It's always fun. Discuss things like playground chips. We're doing our annual June 10th go over and try to resurrect the cages around the pine trees over in the pit forest. Reed, I think you missed the meeting, so you were in charge of everything from food to transportation. And at one point, and this isn't really a forestry item, but we had a back row pipe up a couple meetings ago say, I got lots of trees and I'm willing to donate, and thanks to you, and were those your trees, Woody? Thank you. Pardon?
You're welcome.
Okay, but just for those of you who weren't aware, but Woody volunteered a bunch of his spruce trees to go around the back of the baseball field, and Jeff Burcham and Brent Cole and the baseball team took care of putting them in.
Also, probably want to give a shout out to DNR smoke chasers. They were going to help for the whole day. It was a pretty hot fire day, so they dug them, helped with dig them, and a couple of girls from the girls golf team also helped with it. But yeah, I mean, it was a matter of 3 hours, maybe a little bit more than that, and we just about got a double lining on the whole outfield. 40, maybe just right around 40 trees we put in.
Yeah, and the nice thing was there were some, I mean, they're not mature trees, but they're not seedlings that are, I mean, they look like they have a good chance of survival. There were a few right in the center field that were probably, 4 foot tall.
Yep.
So, thanks, Woody.
Yep. Should be something in the paper on Wednesday on it, too.
Would you want more of those?
Possibly, see what happens with the, I guess, initial batch in terms of survival and, how they branch out.
Hope for rain right now.
Can you say that in this county? Hope for rain?
Taking your life in your
Without getting egged?
Woody, we would like it noted that Tim Lyon is hoping for rain.
No, that was
From the far end.
And the DNR Forestry and Wildlife Office also burned the south 35 acres there too.
Yeah, they did. You seen the pictures?
Yeah, I got aerial photos.
They did a really nice job.
Very good burn.
It was really good burn.
So,
When did that take place?
I was hoping that was a controlled burn.
Yeah. I
I
just,
mean, just in the last few
See, we need
weeks.
rain.
within the last week?
Last Thursday, I
Thursday?
believe it was. He did a really nice job. Burn, it's the best burn we had out there. We tried it three different times. And it was the best burn we had, and yeah.
Killed some willow.
How do you judge a burn?
Well, you can see if it burns. A lot of times you have big patches out there that the fire never seen. But it was, we had wind that day and it was blowing across, it was blowing to the, out of the northwest, so it was blowing away from our buildings and away from town. And with that wind, it was drying out everything on top. So it gave the fire a little extra pump, and they had a lot of fire chasers out there, and they did a really nice job. Somebody wants to see a picture of it, I can forward it to them. Some aerials of it. They did some aerials. It's nice. The trees look great.
That's forestry.
Okay, finance.
We met tonight and talked about the budget revisions that Crystal's going to present and what position that puts us in. Talked a little bit about Jeff's presentation for long-range planning on Wednesday night. For strategic planning, I guess, not long-range planning. You spoke there. And that's about it. Answered any questions that the committee members had about the financials.
Okay, then moving on to Superintendent Elementary Principal.
Okay, enrollment report. We are down one from 1st of April. Hanging on at 473. Strategic planning update, May 16th. Was our first planning meeting, and that was preceded by the listening session on the 15th. And I will have a full report in June on the results of the listening session and the survey. That's something that will be shared this Wednesday night at our second planning meeting. That's at 6:30 in the media center. And then we'll wrap it up on Thursday. And I have in your packet, I think on the table in front of you too, I have some reminders. I have the strategic planning remaining meetings listed there. Graduation on May 24th. We need to know what board members plan to attend.
Corinne.
The number was not enough people there.
3,
Man.
1.
So it's that time of year. All right. So also Friday is a half day, and that's based on our calendar. So we'll be dismissing students at 12:30, and then we'll have teacher in service the remainder of the day, and then graduation that night.
What time do you want us to arrive?
What time do you want them here?
Oh, 5:30, 5:30 for warm-ups.
See you quarter to
Can I
7.
take my day off?
6:45.
6:30?
6:30.
7?
Yeah, last year.
So we just start off sitting in the gym, we're not marching in.
I've lost
Right.
last year.
We've done last year, so.
I
We'll
don't know where
have,
to go.
just meet in the high school office, we'll have flowers in there.
I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions for anything.
Anything else? Moving on to the business office then.
Oh, I do have one more thing, I'm sorry.
Wait for it.
Because I got in trouble because I missed it on the radio show this morning. Wednesday, May 22nd, is our retiree recognition, and that's at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the Commons. So if you're able to attend, we have one person resigning this year. What did I say?
Resigning.
Resigning, retiring.
Okay, guess now you're on, Crystal.
Okay, just a little overview on our revised FY19 budget for this year. We just started to do a revised budget to reflect more closely to our revenues and expenditures, how they have changed throughout the year. We have increased our revenues, and that was mostly related to miscellaneous revenues that we received, like Concom money, fees were increased compared to what we were planning on. And then our expenditures increased mostly due to capital expenditures that we had approved throughout the year that were not originally in the budget. So now that's gonna bring us to looking at a projected deficit of about $110,000 for this year. With that $110,000, most of that deficit will be offset with reserve funds. So like our operating capital, our safe school funds, we have money sitting over there because we built up a fund balance in those. So that deficit should be offset by those funds. So I guess you guys have any questions on that and how
I have a question on, for instance, your yellow highlighting on the.
oh, that, yeah.
Why should I be concerned that the gap is only a 7%? Is there an expense at the end of the year that's sort of jumps it up to even? I mean, we're getting close to the crunch time on that, but I look at a year ago and I see that there was a little over 9%. The amount of budget received and the amount of budget expended that you highlighted in yellow. I assume it was to get my attention.
No, well, that's just how it is, yeah. You mean where it says that we're at 82.7%?
Correct.
And previous years, we were at 79.4 and 78.4?
Right, but I'm looking at the expenditures as well, that we had only spent 75% of what, we anticipated.
Well, a lot of this, like, we haven't done teacher payouts yet.
Say that again?
We haven't done, like, teacher payouts yet. So we still have to do 3 months worth of salary and benefits. That's gonna increase this.
Okay, and that's where the expense comes in so much lower than that.
Yep.
And the fact that the discrepancy is 7% this year as opposed to 9% last year is not really a concern. It's just the way it is right now.
But a lot of, if you're saying machine, here was 79%.
Right, like in 2018, it was 79 to 70%, at this date. We got less, or we have less catching up to do there.
Yeah, it's not a concern, I wouldn't say. No. Especially how it's coming in at this point right now. But as far as the being at 75%, that's just mostly due to we haven't done payouts for any of that yet.
Okay, so there is a chunk that really catches it up. It starts to flow pretty good, okay.
So come, like, our June board meeting, you'll see that number go up quite a bit. Because of the fact that, okay, now we've done payoffs, we'll plus this in a year, but all those July and August expenses will be ran through then. Because they actually go through in June, so I don't know if that's answering.
Yeah, and I was just noticing your highlighting, so I was just making sure that I was paying attention to something that you, I think, wanted me to.
Well, that just automatically does that, because it just wants you to look at it to see where we're at, just as of right now, but.
Well, then, and right into that, you talk about $110,000 shortfall for this year.
Yes.
And we've added to that with, certain capital expenses, and, the lighting, for instance, good example, right?
Yep.
So when we say we're gonna pull it out of the safety, yeah, we've got a couple of funds, you say, it still is a shortfall. I mean, it's not something that's being offset equally, it's still taking money from another spot to pay for that. We can't finish 2019 without saying 110,000 in the hole.
Right, it's just that it won't affect our unassigned fund balance. It's going to decrease our operating capital fund and our safe school fund.
And those are levy funds, right, that
Yes.
we can,
Yep.
But the community should be aware of that, that's where we're getting that money.
Yes, absolutely.
And I guess I think it's worth noting too, I mean, yeah, budget's a guess on the entire thing. So Reed had the opportunity to come up with what saved the school money, but it was still an expenditure. But we saved overall, so yeah, we ran it in a little bit in the hole this time, but overall, running it in the hole saved money. And even then, all that means is, yeah, we missed our prediction a bit,
That's
so.
why it's always a good idea to
Yep.
have fund balances
Yep.
and reserve balances for
the
exactly those
reserves, yeah.
purposes, yeah.
Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, I guess we'll move on. High school principal, Mr. Novak.
Just taking a look at some final quotes for the welding. Let's look at for next fall. I had Bemidji welders come to our school and actually take a look at some kind of define different numbers. Praxair is be coming here sometime next week. We had an update on the electrical, an update on the exhaust. Our exhaust is actually good. When they put it in 1992, they did a really nice job. And there was no problem with getting the smoke and getting all the different welding things out of this building. So we will not have to update any motors or anything. The biggest thing that we're gonna have to do is update the hoods. It's got the pipes there. Update the hoods going around to each individual training area. So that's what we'll have to update. So, you know, we may have one time talking about 50 to 75,000, not even close. We're looking at probably about anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 for the stainless steel hoods. And then electrical we're in a good situation there too. We're looking at maybe $2,000 for actually to update the electrical. So all in all, we're looking at approximately about $7,000 to update that whole area over there with electrical and with exhaust. So, Reed, questions as far as the input you want to put in?
No, the systems there, we just need all the ventilations, the hoods and stuff over there. And we did a little bit of wiring, existing wiring. Like Brian said, it'll probably be under 2,000 for the wiring, which is really thin. You know, and the rest of it, I believe the bits that you got from big stuff. Yep. So all that stuff will be there.
So we're looking at, right now, approximately about $28,000 to $30,000 of equipment, and that's basically a turnkey operation for welding, and that includes all of the different tanks, the tank lease, all the different nozzles, all the different wires, all the different things that to get basically welding up and running. So I made a few more contacts and looking at pulling the money together a little bit more.
Grant money available for some of that?
Yep. There's always grant money available. It's just a matter of finding the right people. I've reached out to Mark Carl Manufacturing, Central Boiler, Mark Reese, Marvin Windows, Anthony, last name, and Brian Paul. So I made presentations to a variety of different places, the county commissioners, also the, I guess, EDC or the EDA board, and so we're looking at possibility of money that I can't give you.
No, I was
right
just,
now,
yeah.
but within the next couple of weeks, we should be able to.
Did you mention Polaris?
Yep. So we're looking at communications, we're looking at different liaisons, we're looking at some different things to pull this together.
Is there any way that we can try to formalize what kind of student involvement we're going to have in this by maybe asking them right now? Who would,
Well, actually, I've already asked. I've asked current sophomores, and I've got about 10 to 12 students that are interested. But it's also a matter of, is it going to fit in their schedule? I mean, this might be 2 or 3 seniors and 3 or 4 juniors and a couple sophomores that it fits into their schedule. You know, this is a matter of just getting this up off the ground. And as of right now, we haven't even looked at salary. As I've looked at, I've talked to Crystal about you know, getting some ideas as far as what a 1 to 3 hour teacher is going to do as far as a community expert.
And what are we thinking here, like no doubt, an introductory to welding, and then it'll be a step of as we go through the year, or
Yeah, it would be an intro welding class, you know, the whole year long, just to get the room up and running, all the equipment up and running, getting you know, as far as the community expert teacher, and just take it one step at a time and revisit next spring, next winter, and see what we want to do. You know, as far as if we want to offer, you know, my goal personally would be having a welding 1 this year, and next year having a welding 1 and a welding 2. But also just a matter of taking a look at this whole price thing. I mean, it's, you know, I've done a lot of fundraising before, and looking at bringing in $25,000 to $30,000 together, so it all doesn't have to come out of the school coffers. Okay. That's what I'm working on right now. You know, if I were to say, school, you got to put in 30 to 35,000 plus salary. You know, now we're looking at 50, 60,000. I don't want to put that on the shoulders of the school. I think we can get enough people in the area. There's enough agencies out there to help us get this up and running. So that's why I'm kind of going slow on it. All right, within the next couple of weeks, the money will come together. Starting to build the curriculum. Mr. Nelson and I and Crystal need to sit down and take a look at overall what it's going to cost to fit it into the yearly budget. One step at a time.
keep up the good work.
Well, and then just student schedules. We're also looking at you know, just piecemealing the schedules together and getting that into the schedule later. And my goal is to, in the next 2 weeks, is to get a schedule together for Mr. Nelson, and then have him take a look at it and give me the blessing, and then for the next board meeting, have the official schedule ready to go for it. On Wednesday, we have the 3 sport athletes student activity awards. That includes 1-act plays, knowledgeable, junior high, robotics. We'll have the end of the year video. So that'll be during the activity period on Wednesday. I'd like to invite the Board of Education. If you want to come, it'll be 2:05 on Wednesday. Thursday morning, 8:15, we have senior high practice. And then that'll be the last day for the seniors. Questions?
All right, thank you very much. On to buildings and grounds. Reed McFarland.
I don't really have much. Pretty much all the summer schedules are set for what projects we're doing when, and we gotta add a couple more yet. As far as the arena project and stuff down there, across, you know, the HMS across the road and stuff, we got that all graded out now, and we got it all leveled out. It's pretty nice over there. All cleaned up. They should have all the grading and stuff done around here. transportation schedules for other schools that will have that done by the end of the week. Looking forward to some training.
Anyone have any questions? All right, moving on to community ed and food service. They had nothing.
One thing there, I noticed in our packet that we have we have some bids for milk, and all those bids were in milk cartons, and I'm wondering if we could, and I wouldn't mind, and I would do it. I tried calling them today to see the
We have
price
milk
of bulk.
dispensers, yep.
Bulk, they would have those at, what's it going to cost? I tried calling both of the people that put in bids. Never, I got shuffled around on one and the other one was busy the whole time. But I think instead of maybe even bid or acknowledging one of those bids tonight, maybe I would look, if we could table that and look at it a little closer to see what those price cut, just see where it lies as far as one of those, one of the decisions we're gonna have to make is it financially or, offset from the amount of, milk cart evaluation together. But I just saw it today with the bid when I read the packet.
Any ramifications on not accepting a bid today? Did we,
As long as we know we have no cost.
are these bids or quotes? Did we?
These are bids.
These are bids, okay.
So that's saying that like my Wi-Fi is not working, so I can't look at, usually there's like a time frame in there, like a.
They had a time
Yeah.
frame of getting their bid to us.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't actually like, not a RFP where you have to actually go
Okay.
every so, I'm not sure if this is how many years it is. Where you actually have to, and then you have to open within a certain amount of time, you have to award the bid in a certain amount of time, like kind of like health insurance, that's not like this.
Okay, so we're not in under
No,
any,
no. But we
Then-
need to know, like, by July.
yeah.
I'll get on tomorrow.
Could
Like
we,
I said, I tried today, but
well,
okay.
who is in
Jackie.
contact with, Jackie covered that?
Jackie,
Well, the other question is, they'd have to have glasses and all
Yeah,
that, so
that-
we have to be able to deal with that. And
That
we
was the
have-
next step. Yeah, it would be more than just milk, it would be
Cups.
cups
Working with Jackie.
and everything else and all that.
And
Is that something we could ask for before, I don't know, what's a reasonable time frame?
I think we could have that ready by next month.
Well, I think it would be more on the staff who would end up doing more. I mean, I think it would be better to have Jackie contact them because she was the one who requested the bid this way.
Okay.
And it would be easier, she's got the contacts. I mean, to me, that makes sense to have her
Yeah,
do it.
I was like, okay, what area are you from? And they had sales reps
Yep.
who were there, and I just went around with the circle.
And then you would know too, I mean, as far as cups and that kind of stuff,
Yep.
like,
Quantities.
And then her workup, what she thinks the cost would be for
yeah.
milk. I guess everyone else on the board feel the same way? Anyone opposed to holding off and doing the study?
I'll talk with Jackie too a little bit. Okay.
Are there any other schools that use this model? Is there anything might be able to give you some information and tell you exactly what it costs in the first year, basically? The one you have to have an extra staff.
And I guess the other one would be, we want the staff to be on board with it, and I mean,
Right.
is it appropriate for first graders and stuff to be getting their own cup of milk and everything, and what are the possibilities involved with that? I guess I would welcome her input as well before we go and make some sweeping
And
change.
That's where kind of, we talked a little bit about it, and when we had a little bit where, that's where maybe that student involvement might be helping those younger kids out, have some of the kids, whether they're helping
because I know the milk dispensers are very common, but more at an adult setting. So, all right, we have consensus on that, sounds like it.
Something worth looking into.
Any, you guys know kind of what we're looking for, overall cost, what would be the price difference, and whether or not the food service staff would be on board?
Yeah.
All right, anything else? We're on to other, so.
Cats go back there. We didn't have an athletic.
Name's not on the list, so you're on it.
Activities, spring sports are wrapping up, subsection starts tomorrow for golf and softball. Golf is at Roseville, girls softball is at Blacktop. Track and field subsections are on Thursday, that's in Park Rapids. Baseball subsections also start on Thursday, that site has not been determined yet. Their seating doesn't come out until Wednesday afternoon. Next Tuesday, we are hosting subsection softball here in Vedette. There'll be 6 teams from around the region that will be here. There'll be a total of 4 games played, 2 games at 4 o'clock, 2 games at 6 o'clock. I'm getting volunteers to help with, I guess they're not volunteers because they're paid positions, but I'm getting people to help out with taking tickets, running the score clock, announcing the games. So I've got almost all the workers lined up for that. Then on Thursday, we come back and we've got 3 teams coming back on Thursday for section finals. And there'll be up to 3 games on Thursday with a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and potentially a 6 o'clock, depending on wins and losses. So we're hoping to have concessions out there. We still don't have our concessions trailer yet. We're waiting for a appraisal on it because we can't write a certificate of donation until we get the appraisal on it. So we had a couple different people that we contacted to get the appraisal on it. Hopefully we can get that done. We probably won't have it for Tuesday, but we should have it for football season starting next year. Activities committee met with some people, the principal from Rainy River last week or the week before, and we talked about fees. We talked about family maxes for Canadians because we don't offer one for that. Is that something we should look at doing? We'd like to move forward with that for the June meeting and have that be a proposal to possibly raise our activities fees by $5 a sport. Increase our family max like $25 to $50 for the year, and then set a family max for the Canadian families somewhere around $850 to $1,000 for the family max for the year.
You ever get any feedback from the rest of the Canadian contingent that couldn't
No,
be there?
they never responded on anything else.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I pushed it back into June instead of bringing it forward for this meeting. So for the June meeting, we'd like to have maybe an official proposal for the board session for that. Something else I've been working on, and is it possible for me to plug in here? Quick, will this work?
HV9?
Pushing hard.
It might be the adapter for,
So what I've got is, it's the Positive Coaching Alliance, and hopefully this will come up right over here. The Positive Coaching Alliance is a national organization that coaches coaches, parents, and players. Through positivity in athletics, it's got NBA, professional football coaches up and down Berlin, Olympians. I'm going to play a really quick video here that just gives a little bit of information about it.
The most important thing that kids and people want from us is that we care about them as a person, and to teach them you do not have your self-worth connected to your skill level on something. They're two separate issues. You're a beautiful human being, you're fantastic, and that's it, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you're ranked, number 250,000 in the world or number 1, that does not matter.
Yes, there are expectations. Yes, there are great demands. But yes, we realize you're a human being. A lot of times, what they need is love and just the positive reinforcement.
This is something we all are in together as a family.
Be positive about what they're doing out there. They will listen.
I can get far more out of my players if I'm doing it with a smile on my face, with energy in my voice. I'm being clear on what I want from them, and I'm letting them know that I believe in them.
Being positive on a daily basis. You have a choice. You make a choice of, the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. You make a choice of bringing negative or positive to a meeting, to a relationship, to a basketball court, or to you. DCA is one of the greatest organizations that I've ever been affiliated with. Having fun brings good team chemistry.
I get a better response, better effort,
And being the family, I need to be supportive.
because I am demonstrating through my positivity, my joy, my excitement, I believe in them.
It is crucial for coaches to send that message.
Every moment is a teaching moment.
If you can help a child or a person believe in themselves, it's everything.
That's just a little more about that. What it is they would be partnered with the Positive Coaching Alliance for 1, 2, or 3 years. They come up and do 2 or 3 workshops a year at our school for our coaches, players, parents. And the cost is outlined right down here. For 1-year partnership at 2 workshops is $1,850. 3-year partnership for 3-year workshops would be $1,850 a year. We wouldn't be able to get it for this upcoming year, but there are grants that the Minnesota State High School League Foundation that we've applied for that would probably offset this entire cost. I think it's important for us to bring education to our coaches, parents, and athletes, changing cultures in sports, bringing positive elements on everything. This would be a good program for us to look at bringing in public. That's just some information on it. I would like to possibly move forward with this for next year. Questions about it? I've got Mr. Nelson has all the information on it, and they got it, but I get it on the queue. So, if you have questions about it, I can forward you links, so you can just go to the Positive Coaching Alliance website and get all the information on there, testimonials. We're probably not going to get Bill Jackson to come up there, but we will get probably some bigger name coach from the state of Minnesota. Can't remember his name. He was a long-time wrestling coach at Augsburg. Part of this also. Pretty much all got directed at this. Thank you, Jeff.
Any questions about it? Interest? It looks like something we'd be interested in.
Is
So.
it, where would the money come from to pay for this? $2,000 or something like that?
We mentioned the grant
Grants.
possibility.
But not for this, right.
I do have money in the activities. What do you call it, Crystal? AD. AD budget, so I have some money in there that I can use.
Might be some local donations available as well.
It's not a huge amount of money for, I think, what we'd be getting out of it. Ship money. Ship money. There we go.
Yeah, I know, but everybody could see the looks on the faces, you couldn't see them.
On the edge, you never know what he's gonna do
Right.
now.
It's not a lot of money, yeah, it's ship money.
Now that the 12-year-olds in the audience are done.
And the newspaper reporter.
And the newspaper reporter. Okay, well, Anyone else got anything for the working session? Hearing nothing, we'll close the working session and we'll move on to the board. Get my cheat sheet ready. All right. Convene at 7:14 with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, this is wrong. I need to hand this over to you. This is called to order by Chairperson Bertram. Oh. That's okay. All right, I'll keep it. We already went to the Pledge of Allegiance anyway. Yeah. Okay, I need, let's see, approval of the agenda with the following changes. A, additions, hiring of special education teacher, Court Claypool, and award of bread bid to Bimbo Bakeries for the 2019 through 2020 school year. And we will be removing item, I don't know what number it was, but approval of the 10-year LTFM, which is the long-term facilities maintenance plan, and that will be tabled until June 19th, June 2019 meeting.
Can I make that motion with the addition of the tobacco 21 resolution?
We have a motion, okay, now how does this one work? So we have a motion to add to the agenda. Do we need a second to add to it, or can we, is just the motion to add to it enough?
We just table that when we get.
Motion and a second to add to the agenda?
Add to the agenda, and then approve the agenda.
You table at the same time?
I think we table when the item comes up, right?
Okay.
We just would have Jeff make a motion to table that so he could pursue it on the mill thing.
So you're making a motion to add it to the agenda? Correct.
I'll second the motion
to add it to the agenda.
Motion by Trask. Second by Sonstegard to add,
Board support of tobacco 21.
support resolution. Board
She has
resolution.
a letter of support.
It's a letter of
But
support.
you mentioned resolution, so.
I think it's a letter of support, isn't it?
That looks pretty good. Provide a letter of support of the statewide health improvement partnership drive to change the minimum legal sales age to 21 for purchasing tobacco products. We've had a motion, we've had a second.
In Lincoln, Woods County, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to push, is get that board to.
Yep, in Lake of the Woods County. We've had a motion, we've had a second. Any discussion?
Good idea.
Good idea. I will say I don't like doing business quite this way. I wish she would have had given us a little bit more time. I don't like adding things at the last second, and I guess I'd rather not make a regular practice of it, but
I think considering the time frames that we're up
Yeah.
against, it just makes sense this time around, but yeah, you're right, preferably we would.
Yeah.
leave it, but-
yeah, however long they had been working on it. I mean, I think they've been working on it for a while, so it would have been nice to have had a little bit more leeway. Okay, closing discussion. Anyone else? All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so was that a motion within a thing? So now we need an. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
To add it to the agenda.
Okay, so now,
It's not gonna approve the agenda.
back to our previous, agenda.
No, that was just a motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
Yeah.
Okay, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
that's what I said, so.
That's
That's what I
she
was
said.
interpreting that as.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Okay, we'll go with that. That sounds better. All right, so then we're on the consent agenda. We'll be approving the minutes, approval of invoices, personnel resignation, retirements, and appointments. We have the hiring of Seth Putz as building and ground supervisor, hiring of Richard Gennon and Jennifer Wilmer as bus route drivers, appointment of Brent Cole as transportation supervisor, appointment of Tracy Cook as office secretary, accept resignation of Jill Olson, the high school health and phy-ed teacher, and hiring of Court Claypool as special education teacher. As long as there's no opposition to that, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lyon, second by Ellis for the consent agenda. Any discussion?
The only thing is that in the board information, it says Mrs. Miller, and I think her name is Mrs. Pearson. The moving of Emily is moving from,
Yes, that's me.
that's okay, I just wanted to, it's just our information, but I just wanted to add that. So we're not appointing someone who's not really gonna be a special education teacher.
Well, and to show you how I saw it, I'm like, don't tell her. What is
No, but it said Mrs. Miller.
I know.
It says Mrs. Miller, doesn't it?
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, but now I'm like, oh, now why didn't I think of that?
Well, I'm going like,
Your brain's not the only one thinking Miller.
So we'll make that correction.
well, and I don't know if it's real important when it's in the attachment or not, but.
Which one's correct?
Yeah,
That's
that's
correct.
her married name.
But it goes on to add that he's gonna replace Mrs. Miller in elementary. So, when there's not a Mrs. Miller in elementary, sometime later it might cause some confusion. And then it says Mrs. Pearson will be reassigned.
See?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I totally understand.
I was like, oh, there was something new. That's what I thought.
Split personality.
Are we set with that, or are you still working? Okay, we'll let you figure it out. You got time. So you're set?
I'm set.
Okay. All right, so we've had a motion and a second. We've had a little bit of discussion, sorted things out. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, signify by saying nay. Just to switch things up a little. Okay, no one's opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Board presenters, none. Written communications, none. Old business, none. New business. Okay, I need a motion and a second for the revised budget for fiscal year 2019.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
I'll second it.
second by Bertram. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion and a second to award the milk bid. Oh wait, this is the one we're going to table. Oh wait.
You need a motion to
We'll go, okay. Motion and a second to award the milk bid to Land O'Lakes Foods for the 2019-2020 school year.
Can I make a motion to table this to approval?
Okay, Corinne makes the motion to table. Corinne Trask, motion to table. Second by Lyon. Any discussion about tabling said motion?
I'll talk with Jackie, and no doubt she's got most of that information, and we'll come up with something here by the end of the month.
Okay.
By the next meeting.
Yeah,
should.
we're planning,
Louise committee.
Yeah.
planning on it, we just don't have a date.
Yep,
Get things
I have it
moving.
on my list for June.
Let me know. All right, any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously to table approval of the milk bid. I need a motion and a second to approve the 2019-2020 contract with Interquest Detection Canines. Motion by Sonstgaard.
Second.
Second by Lyon. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We've already gotten rid of item D. I need a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2018-2019-28 to accept a $500 donation from Lakewood Foundation for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
Second.
second by Bertram. Discussion? Thank you very much, Lakewood Foundation, for $500 for Ticket to Read. That's been a very successful program, I think.
Ask. Ask. It's called Ask. They ask for donations
Oh.
for that.
Okay.
Pretty effective.
Yeah. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion and a second to award the bread bid to Bimbo Bakeries for 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bertram,
Second.
second by Lyon. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Other business? None?
Did we cover the resolution?
Let's see now.
We have one more.
You almost let me go.
Like, did I miss
New
something?
business, item G.
New business, item G. Need a motion and a second to provide a letter in support of the statewide health improvement partnership drive to change the minimum legal sales age to 21 for purchasing tobacco products in Lake of the Woods County.
I'll make
that
the
motion. Well, go ahead, I'll second it.
Motion by Bertram, second by Lyon. Any more discussion on it? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. This, okay. We took care of other business. Anyone else? Anyone got anything? Then I will adjourn the meeting at 7:27.
Good job.